Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us tonight, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our brother out of Chicago, but now residing in the desert of Mosh 32, holding it down in Phoenix, Arizona, brother Daniel E. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. And how are you and the family doing?
By the grace of Allah's permission, doing fine.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience, we thank Allah for you taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us today. The first question that we have for you, sir, is that we want to know is every time we get on Facebook, we see from Tempe to Levine, from Chandler to uh, every Maricopa, we always see you and the brothers known as the Push Crew or pushing out there selling the Final Call newspaper. And for those who don't know the extent of heat that it takes, that the desert heat is something like you've never felt. What what is it that drives you all every week to no matter what happens to still go out there and push the number one program of the Nation of Islam?
Well, brother Joshua, it's like this, dear brother. When I first moved here in May of 2020 during the pandemic, and after everything, throughout the nation got up and running, we started going out with the paper. I remember a brother told me, make sure you have a walking suit, brother Daniel. And I got a walking suit one particular day. And because of the heat, because I remember seeing in the Final Call newspaper back around 1997 or 1998 what Miles 29 Miami was doing, going out there with the paper, and they had to get permission from your dad when he was the Supreme Captain through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to wear a walking suit when we go out there with the paper. It's been a challenge, heat wise. I remember a few times, I just use this for example, when one particular Saturday went out with the paper afterwards with the minister on the front page for his 91st birthday anniversary. We was having an FOI awards dinner, and I remember I was running late. I said, man, let me get a little energy up so I can get to the mosque because the heat kind of got to me. So I got a little rest, and I had missed out getting my award, but I got my award. Praise be to Allah for being out there with the paper every Saturday. But I told the brothers, I said, brothers, that he kind of got to me. I had to kind of rest up. And he said, man, they was like, brother, where you been? Where you been? I had to explain, tell them what happened. Yes, the heat is a challenge, brother. I know what the believers go through in Miami throughout, who's from the seventh region. I know what Phoenix and Las Vegas had to go through when we go out there with the paper.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love all around the world. Walaikum salam, Sister Amina Hanan. Thank you for always showing love as well. We just want you to know, Brother Daniel E., that we salute you for your
Yes,
hard
sir.
work, your sacrifices, and we salute your family as well. Please let your family know
Yes,
that we
sir.
thank you all. And my sisters and I, we always talk about you showing love to the people's podcast, always watching and being in
Yes,
the
sir.
comments. But we want to make sure that we let people know if you all follow Brother Daniel E on social media, every week, if not every week, every month for sure, you will see him on the front line delivering the Final Call newspaper to our people door to door. And that's something that gives me inspiration and it gives us inspiration to see you upholding the banner of Islam wherever you are, Brother Daniel. So we salute you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna say this before we go into other things. I recall when the minister told us to go door to door. I remember my mom, may Allah be pleased with her, she was a little nervous for me because she knew what type of individual I was, a fiery individual. But, when I learned going door to door builds character, but also how to handle rejection, insults, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has always taught. And I heard this from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There comes a day when the devil spit in your face and you wipe that spit off your face and keep walking. That devil said, that's a smart nigga, excuse my pardon the terminology, but he will see the hereafter.
Beautiful. Go ahead, brother Daniel. You teaching about the hereafter.
Yes,
Sister Naima, walaikum salam, family. Thank you for showing love.
Sister Naima.
Yes, sir. And okay, so brother Daniel E. Speaking of that rejection, I tell people each of us have different gifts and skill sets. Public speaking is the number one fear, according to a lot of research from psychiatrists. If you just search it, they said death is number 2, public speaking is number 1. I don't have that fear by the grace of God of public speaking. I can perform, drill, act, whatever. That's not an issue. So that may be somebody else's challenge. But selling the Final Call newspaper door to door was one of the most challenging things I've ever experienced in my life. That constant rejection. So I salute the brothers. People were like, y'all brothers ain't selling the papers. I said, y'all need to get out there and know what it feels like to have someone cuss you out consistently. My ratio, brother, I'm talking about. Some of my experience, I was like, all right, that's it. No, I'm not doing it no more. Don't send me over there. I don't mind, on the street because they can just drive by or keep the window rolled up. But you knock on somebody's door and they see that paper, they be like, get this out of here. I told you. But I said, all right now. Because it naturally brings up something else, that you wanted to fight and defend yourself. And when you got to turn the other cheek,
right.
That's a very challenging thing. So I really salute the brothers who are gifted.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I really respect
that, brother Joshua, I had to deal with a situation when a Caucasian man tried to let his pit bull loose on me. And when I told him like this, I said, you let that damn dog loose on me, I'm killing that dog. And one of the brothers had my back and told him, brother Daniel, I'm right behind you. And that Caucasian man turned red. And he thought, okay, these Farrakhan people not playing. But hey, what we've been taught, fear no one but Allah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You teaching, brother Daniel E. Sister Moo, walaikum salam. Sister Miriam, thank you for coming to join us today. And she said, assalamu alaikum, brother Daniel E. Walaikum salam. Yes, sir.
Yes,
now, brother Daniel, we spoke offline referring to the Malcolm X movie and the climate.
Right.
That was very. I love interviewing people about that time period because I'm a historian, and this was preparing to lead up to so much. But then the Mayman March 2 years after, and just so much going on. Sir. What was it like during the time period of the Malcolm X film?
Okay. Well, I recall when the movie, a little prior before the movie came out, one of my aunts was like, "Yeah, I'm saying I'm like to myself, brother Joshua, in the back of my mind, I ain't going nowhere with y'all. Because, something had told me, don't go with them because they had an ulterior motive. So, what I did myself personally, I went by myself. I was in Hyde Park that particular day. I stopped by talking with one of the brothers who were holding posts at the National House. So I was told I'm going to see the Malcolm X movie. And I went by myself. And the movie was garbage. So now to add to that, a day after New Year's Day, my mom wanted to see it. And I went with my mom. And my mom was very observant of the movie. She said afterwards, she said, Daniel, this movie is garbage. And I said, Mama, you said the same thing that I got said. Now, when I went the first time by myself, now I just had my first apartment. I was staying on the west side of Chicago. My cousin came over with his friend. Now, both of them, his friend claimed Malcolm, but I'm going to say this about him, as the minister said, you can't claim Malcolm when you're doing vices. Their vices was drinking and smoking reefers. though they was some reefer smoking, 40-ounce drinking Negroes.
Yes, sir.
And he came in. I'm sizing him up. He came in. He said, "Oh, yeah, y'all racist, y'all president." And he was saying, "I know y'all killed him." He's smirking. He kept going and on and on. So Allah held me back to show the bad side of myself. And I told my cousin a week during Thanksgiving, I told him, I said, "Glenn, I'm gonna tell you this up front. Do not bring that tall, lanky so-and-so in my house. No so-and-so more." And he got all defensive when we almost got into a little argument. And I told him, including you borrowed from my house. I told him. Because, I piqued his friend. But see, my cousin didn't have the sense enough, because he know the bad side of me. Didn't have to bring him, drag him out of him, because he know, my cousin ready to do something to him. And that, physically, but
Yes,
he didn't have the sense enough. But I look back, Allah held me back at that time. But I'm going to say this. His demise, he had something happened to him in the street. I'm not going into details on that, but he, paid his price for saying those things, but never apologized or repented for saying those things. Now, I had a former neighbor, Eleanor Jackson. I'm gonna say this, brother. I was going to my mom's house to get something from her, and she was over there with her, seeing Miss Jackson. And I stopped over there with my mom, and she said, "Daniel, I got the Farrakhan tape we spoke about Malcolm. You want to see it?" Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. At that time, I was a little lazy, not getting the tape, because I always was consistent getting the lectures, Savior's Day lectures in particular,
yes,
Brother
sir.
Josh. But I had to kick myself in behind for not getting 28 years later, part 1 and 2. So I borrowed it, right? So I came back and bring it to her house. Now, she was trying to be a snake, was like trying to sway me to read The Judas Factor by Carl Evans. And I already knew what that book was about when he was being biased and saying things about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I heard him out of his own mouth when he was on Tony Brown's Journal show, discussing that book in particular. And I'm like, I refused to read that book. And she was trying to say, like, in between, "Oh, you young, you don't know no better. You're going to know the truth that the minister had," that type of thing. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, are you a fool? You think I'm a fool? Don't think I'm young and don't know no better? That's my salvation. I know this man gave me life. And I said, you can't, I'm like myself, you can't pull that small time stuff over on me.
Yes, sir.
And when the time what happened to Malcolm's daughter, Quabila, I remember I was on the phone with my mother that same night. We were talking about it. She said, "Daniel, I just came from Miss Eleanor's house. She was telling me how mean-spirited, how she was saying some vicious things about the minister, all kind of crazy stuff, Brother Joshua." And I'm like, I just shook my head. I said, "Mama," I said, "she cannot talk about anybody, and you claim Malcolm, but you quoting him. But the main thing what Malcolm spoken against, that listen to this, Brother Joshua, real good. She was having an affair with a Caucasian Catholic priest. And it was all through the neighborhood for all those years when I was a little boy." And I was like, you know what? The old saying, the pot can't call the kettle black. As how you gonna say, quote Malcolm, but you doing the things that Malcolm speak against.
Right. That's right.
And I was like, none of these things, it's just to show you dealing with older people who claim them, and just silly Negroes who claim them. Whatever you trying to say, it don't move me at all. Because I know what I stand on and I know what I believe in. I know that the Savior, the Christ, and the Warner, Master Fard Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did for me and did for the rest of us, those who stand with them.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Praise to Allah. You teaching, Brother Davey, and people are showing love all around the world. Thank you all for watching. Brother Peter, welcome salam. Thank you, sir. Brother Maurice,
my
welcome
brother,
salam. Brother Enoch, welcome salam. Brother Hip Hop Detox, thank you, Brother Enoch, for showing love as well.
My brother.
Okay, yes, sir. All right, now, so Brother Daniel E., speaking of Malcolm X, the time period of the movie and the release, my sister Naima sent me something on Instagram. I posted probably tonight on social media, dealing with all of Malcolm X's daughters on Essence magazine as of today are suing the United States government for their role in assassinating their fathers. So all of these years later, to have that come out, that's vindication. So all praise due to Allah.
Right, that's big vindication towards the Nation of Islam in particular, because I look at it like this: the ones who want to believe that same propaganda or let older people who try to mislead the young on that so-called propaganda away from the man who's leading the Joshua generation, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you cannot defeat this invincible truth as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's simple and plain as your father would say it, bar none.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. And Brother Davey, we have a few more questions for you, and thank you everyone who's watching. But I want to speak about we have a brief 60-second commercial break because I want to come back to that time period of 1993 for everyone who was there around the nation, but primarily in Chicago, what it was like to be around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. 1 second. Boom, boom. Brief 60-second commercial break. We're grateful for every like, share, and subscription. Thank you to every anonymous Cash App, and thank you to all the People Podcast affiliates. 1 second. There we go. Live with the People's Podcast. Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. We're coming right back. Thank you to all of the sponsors and each Cash App donor. S Enterprise, barber and beauty products, plant-based brush wave website, kosherwave.com. They'll have your waves and your sideburns, your edges, all that good stuff. Shout out to kosherwave.com with the K, 770-997-6000. Brother Jeffrey Searcy Muhammad, Sister Stephanie Vassan Muhammad. They are in Africa as we speak, working on trade and commerce. All right, Brother Daniel E. So
yes, sir.
From some of the stories that I've heard on the People's Podcast, we have heard, is that at one time, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked the sisters not to go out at a certain point at night during this time period, and even asked the brothers to come off the corners from selling the papers. Right. Yes, sir, because of the danger and the climate of a movie.
Right.
Could you let us know what it was like during that time period, and how did you feel how did it impact you personally?
Well, at that time, Brother Joshua, I just heard and obeyed with what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told the believers during that particular lecture. Obedience is high form of sacrifice. And when I look back at that time, brother, I had people that I know that loved the nation. I dropped the paper off when the paper came every 2 weeks at that time for those 3 months. And some family members, close friends who brought the paper for me. And it was like this, brother. you know, I recall a cousin of mine, he was in drug rehab, and it was a lot of, it was run by a pastor, so a little pastor. And he asked me, he said, "Cuz, who killed Malcolm?" I said, "Gus, what I did, lo and behold, I had the paper with, I had a bag, the final calls with me. This was discussing the Malcolm movie. I said, read that middle article, cuz." He gave me $1. And at our grandfather funeral at the repast, he pulled me to the side and he thanked me for giving him that paper. But, when I look at that situation, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, such a wise man, he knew what he was doing to keep us from being in harm's way. And he said, it's not no regular Negroes that's going to do anything to us. He saw something beyond that. And I saw that for a reason. Because I remember, when we was going door to door and what have you, and I was bringing it to people that I know in general. I was like, I remember somebody in the family, where y'all at? Y'all ain't on the corner. I didn't explain nothing to them because it's really none of their business. Mm-hmm. If you don't understand what's going on, why should I explain anything to you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's instructions are? For what? And then to add to that, add my mother's cousin, her husband. Now, I'm not going to say nothing derogatory to him personally. He go by things by the media because the man could not read. He was saying some things about the minister and, pertaining to Malcolm X. And my grandmother first told me and my mom about it. So I'm like, this is after, those 90 days was over. Mm. And I had to straighten him out on that part, even though he was old. But I said, you that foolish and gullible enough believe what the white man put out there for you to believe in, and you got a problem, and I'm not putting you down. You can't even read, and you fall for a hook, line, and sinker. You can't even tell me, what can you tell me? Nothing. And he's like, boy, he's like, boy, oh, you don't know what you got. Boy, and I was like this, Brother Joshua.
I can't see you, Brother Daniel. Can't see you.
Oh, excuse me, Brother Joshua. Boy, I was like, listen, whatever you trying to tell me, you can't tell me nothing. I always look at the old people that claim them. What have you done back in the 60s when you claim it? You was on the rah-rah cheering section, or when they were smoking reefers back then, the slang terminology that they used, getting their head bad, drinking wine. Yeah, Malcolm, my man, right on, baby. That type of thing. Now put a pin on that part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. Okay, another question that we have for you, Brother Daniel. Is in Phoenix, Arizona, the spirit, the I've been blessed to interview many of the believers from Phoenix. I would say top 3 mosque guests come from Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of the believers there. What's so special about Phoenix, Arizona in relation to you being out there? Of course, we know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spends many months there, throughout the year, as did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But what is it so special about being in Phoenix, Mosque 32?
Well, this is a funny thing, dear brother. One particular apartment complex, we went door to door. Small world, I bumped into someone that I grew up with on the west side of Chicago, Jane Addams Housing Project on the west side. And, I haven't seen this person around since 2001. I remember this person told me she was moving to Phoenix. I take that back, not 2001, 2011. And she was moving, I believe she was telling me around the time she was moving to Phoenix. And telling, I known him, we known each other since little children, since we were shorties. And, that's, I blessed the bump into people that came from Chicago in particular. And also, it was some people I had to teach who never heard of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Some from our Hispanic community that was receptive, because what I did in a smart way, I went dug into YouTube, pull up Student Minister Abel, and showed them that he's part of our movement also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Part of the Brown Nation, who was also part of the Despised and Rejected. That's why I show him. And with the Black woman, I pull up A Nation Can Rise No Higher Than This Woman that he did in Atlanta back in 1994. Those type of things.
Beautiful. Yes, sir, Brother Daniel.
Now I was showing a young brother, sorry for cutting you off, a young brother who was like about 19 or 20 who never heard of the minister. And I showed him, I texted him a lecture from YouTube by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Stop the Killing Tour. Then it was a lost and found sister. When she thought, therefore, why we was some Jehovah's Witness, I said, no, ma'am. You know what I did? I gave her Independence Day from the front cover page of the Final Call newspaper and the paper of the headline with the minister in his gold suit from Savior's Day 2024. I said, this is the man right here who we stand with.
All praise due to Allah. Brother Daniel, people are showing you love all around the world. Sister Nene from Phoenix says, Mosque number 20, 32 is repping. Much respect to Brother Daniel E. and the Push crew. Thank you very much, sister. And thank you to everyone who shows love from Phoenix, Arizona. Brother Daniel, on a lighter note, sir, we want to ask you, this is part 2, so we know what type of music you enjoy listening to. But what's one of the favorite movies that you enjoy watching, Brother Daniel?
Well, one of my favorite ones is Cooley High.
Okay.
And because see, one of my uncles went to Cooley High, and I had a close friend, he's deceased now, Robert Ferguson. He also went to Cooley because he graduated, I think Mr. Ferguson graduated in 1966. So I can, relate to Cooley in a sense because before Islam, before Islam, I was, like I told you in the part 1 interview, I was a walking fool. I can relate to it because it was like me and my friends at the time, how we acted a fool, brother.
Yes, sir. I understand. Speaking of Cooley High, I am someone who loves, history, but pop culture history specifically with film and cinema. I didn't know that the television show What's Happening was basically the spinoff of Cooley High. So they was basically trying to use the same writer and all Norman Lear and all of them.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I didn't know that.
He's the one is from Cooley High that attended Cooley High. He did the script, etc. And those two individuals, Stone and Roberts, they were real street organization guys from street organizations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Rick Stone and Norman Gibson. Norman Gibson, I believe I was watching Unsung with on Cooley High, me and my wife, when Norman Gibson got killed in the dice game in Cabrini Green. That was, I think, a year after or 5 months after the movie was released. And when I'm gonna be honest, I love, where I came from, the projects that I came from was Apple Homes. It wasn't that big a reputation like Cabrini Green or Robert Taylor, Rockwell Gardens. It was like when something happens, we get word out in the street. The news been on there a few occasions, but it wasn't like notorious as other projects like Cabrini Green, Rockwell Gardens, or Robert Taylor Homes, nothing like that. You know, we was near Little Italy, where the Italians are.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, shout out to the West Side of Chicago. Shout out to the projects that you were from, brother. Sister Amina Hanan says Cooley High always makes her think about her older cousins. Her older cousins went there, and they lived in Cabrini. Oh yeah, that's incredible. You know, Coach East is one of the
Yes,
characters
sir.
who always wanted to act like, and you know, things like that. Carry
Yes,
myself.
sir.
I used to approach women. Literally, I would look at Cooley Eye. Shout out to my mom to put me on and go do the same thing at the party. I'm like, okay, my name. I was like, by the time we get off this couch, I'm gonna know your name. What school you went to?
Yes, sir.
Dancing, you know what I'm saying? I used to do it.
Yes, sir. And you know what, brother? I remember we was watching it, and my daughter, the part when Glenn Turman, who's preached, when
Yes,
he went
sir.
to the burial, and he said, my daughter was like, Dad, what's that he drinking? I said, that's a brick of wild Irish rose. She said, Dad, what's a brick? And I had explained to her, that's a slang terminology we call a bottle of wine. You know,
yes,
and and you know, and I showed my wife, I said, this the hairstyles my uncles used to wear, you know, the processed hairdo and the do-rag, you know, the processed hair do-rags and whatnot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now I've seen pictures of my uncles in their hairstyle, you know, and what have you. It's like when I told you in the previous interview, that's how I came to Mons Marion, like that, the same style, but it was a different thing they used at that time was texturized, and I was trying to straighten my hair like that, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I used to, bro, Daniel, I used to kill him with the S curl. I had an S curl for like 3 to 6 months. You know what I'm saying? I had to. Being my S curl, I was cold with the S curl. Yes, sir. All right, but on that, that's a whole other interview. But even to this day, whenever somebody plays Boyz II Men, it's so hard to say goodbye. And I don't want to listen to it because it makes me, not because the song is so sad, but it makes me think about Cooley High. And I always try to turn it off before it gets to that part because in my mind, Coach East got drafted and he lived happily ever after. I don't want to think about the reality of how they did my boys. So, you know, Cooley High is a great lesson. And it also makes me think Chicago history for everybody who's white. Maybe think about Benji and what's happened with Benji and all of that, Simeon and all of that.
Yes, so I was in 6th grade when that happened.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. You know, I don't like. I really wish we would do better than, you know, take our own lives.
Yes, sir.
All right, but yes, sir. But brother Daniel E, we want to thank you for part 2, Inshallah, because
yes, sir. You forgot to ask me about my favorite music, brother.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's get to it. What's your favorite music, brother Daniel?
Well, this is a terminology we call old school R&B in Chicago, slang terminology called Dusties. The best music of your life. We used to have a station in Chicago back then called Dusty Radio 1390.
Okay.
My music genre, you know, from the Dusties, is first love is Motown. My second love is the Chicago sound. Third love, Memphis. Fourth love, Philadelphia sound. And also doo-wop.
Okay. Okay.
Also, my genre is Nation of Islam hip hop. You know, me came in the nation in the early 1990s, you know, Paris, Cam, you know, MC Ran, and et cetera, you know, to the present time, you know, like Lost Sheep, you know, my brothers Umar and brothers Lugero, Fusion, you know, I got all of those individuals added on my playlist on my phone, dear brother.
All praise to Allah. Go ahead, Brother J.E. representing. Shout out to Cam, Paris, and like everyone you named, and of course, shout out to Fusion. Everybody go back and get that interview as well. Brother Daniel E, inshallah, I'm looking forward to spending some more time in Arizona. My brother has family out there, so I got to go back out there and visit so we can get an in-person interview.
Yes, sir. You know, I told you before, I would definitely talk about my experiences seeing the mother plane and also the baby planes for future reference, Brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it. We got a little delayed this time with the Wi-Fi and everything with the sound, but inshallah, moving forward, we'll definitely get you back for part 3.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Joshua. And I send your family my love and the greetings, dear brother.
Yes, sir. I will. And we feel like we know you. Me, and Naima, we feel like we know you just because of social media.
You know, you Rashad,
Yes, sir.
Marion, Naima, you all was young children. I used to look out for you all.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that, brother. We appreciate that. Praise be to Allah. And thank you. And thank you to everyone who was watching. Sister Amina Hanan. I'm butchering your name, Sister Amina. I'm sorry, but hopefully I'm getting it right. Sister Amina, Sister Dejan. Thank you, T. Thank you, everyone who was watching. All right. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off with the People's Podcast. Assalamu Brother Daniel E.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And then Naima says, Brother Daniel, with the muscle